They say these are the most influential cultures in America.
Black.
I saw this list. I thought it was so interesting.
What you think?
I thought it was so interesting. The top 5, right? I could probably remember some of them too.
Tell me who you see.
Is it like Indian culture is number 5?
Indian culture is number 4.
Number 4, yeah.
Number 4, Indian culture. These are the most influential cultures in America.
Yes.
Indian came in at number 4. Who else you remember?
Indian culture came in at number 4. Is it Mexican culture?
Come in at number 3. Latino culture.
Yeah, Latino culture came in at number 3. Yeah. Latino culture.
Okay.
Oh, I know this other one.
Okay.
Japanese.
Japanese. I couldn't believe that.
Japanese culture.
Guess what?
Japanese. Yeah,
Japanese is the number 2 culture in America.
That's
K-pop is so
wild.
big.
And I didn't think that. I thought Latino culture.
Yeah, but think about it though. Japanese culture, they have meditation, they have teas, yoga.
They're in hip hop. They're in K-pop now. They got their own pop lane and everything.
Here's what they're saying. They're saying Japanese culture, sushi, ramen, anime, video games, Nintendo, PlayStation, minimalist design, martial arts, and meditation is of the culture, the Japanese culture that they say that is influential in America.
Minimalist, like they don't have too much stuff.
Can we pop our collar real quick though?
Let's pop it because I'm getting ready to tell you the number 1, the most influential culture in America is the African American culture.
Yes, Lord.
It is number 1. Guess what they said? Hip hop and R&B music, slang,
Surprised.
the language influence, streetwear, hairstyles, soul food,
swag,
dominance in sports, entertainment, pop culture at large.
Come on, man.
They say the number 1 most influential culture in America is the African American culture.
A lot of the times people hate you because they ain't you.
Right.
Real talk.
Isn't that something?
They are reclassifying us right in our faces, and you guys are conforming to it instantly, because all I keep hearing now is foundational black Americans, foundational black Americans. If you don't understand that is a reclassification, and pretty soon you're going to start seeing it on papers, FBA, foundational black American, baby, you are reclassifying yourself. They don't have to do much because you are reclassifying yourself as an indigenous American when they reclassified you as freedman, mulatto, Indian, black, Negro, colored, African American, and now here you are playing into this thing of the foundational black American. I can't believe this shit. Like, and it ain't even on paper yet, and y'all are reclassifying us. Like, are you? What the hell on?
Got black people, you are universal people. You're not just black in America. The whole planet is black. It's 400 million original people. It's only 400 million Caucasians on the entire planet. You outnumber them 11 to 1, but they got you calling yourself a minor. You are the majority. 200 million of us in Brazil. We just under another name. And we think we are not the same. They just speak Spanish.
Yeah.
But they black. The original Mexican, black.
Yeah.
The original Chinese, black.
Facts.
Go in the mountains, go in the rural areas.
Yeah.
Just so we're all crystal clear, everything that's happening with the U.S. government is attributed to the fact that the number of white people in this country is shrinking.
Everybody heard of the Trail of Tears? The Trail of Tears went from the southeast United States to what is now Oklahoma. It was called Indian Territory. And what a lot of people don't understand about the Trail of Tears, a significant portion of the individuals looked like me. They were black folks. Some of those were actually enslaved by those nations, and many were free, like my ancestors. But when they came into Indian Territory, after the Civil War, enslavement was abolished, not only in the United States, but in Indian Territory. So you have from 1866 into Oklahoma statehood, which is 1907, of black people living in northeast Oklahoma, haven't been able to have access to land and ownership and being a full first-class citizen. And so that was a magnet to bring more black people from all around the United States into Indian Territory.
We must put America first. This is a nation that invented the light bulb, the telegraph, the television, the telephone, the computer chip, the smartphone, the GPS, the integrated circuit, and even the internet. Basically, we invented everything. What is left? We invented everything. And now it's AI. We invented everything. Does anyone have anything else to say?
When Trump said African Americans built this nation, it wasn't just a casual statement. That was a coded warning. You need to understand how politics works. Politicians can't openly say, get ready, unrest is coming. They are under contracts bound by handlers, and everything they say is layered. So instead, they drop clues between the lines, breadcrumbs, and unless you have eyes to decode, you'll miss the whole message. The surface level mind here is flattery. The awakened mind here is a signal that when suppressed, truth surfaces. Disruption follows every time. Don't get caught in the illusion that this was just kindness or pandering. No, this is prophecy in motion. Civil unrest always comes after truth leaks. Leaders have to speak in contracts, but the Most High speaks in signs, and the signs is clear. A shaking is near. Don't ignore it. Don't wait for CNN to spell it out for you. The signal already dropped. The warning already came. If you have ears to hear, it's time to prepare.
I really wish they would stop hiding history from white kids more than they actually tell white kids that they're better than their history. Because they keep trying to sanitize the history of the United States. And it doesn't make any sense because there's so many plot holes. You're just going to leave this generation of white children confused. And then they ask that real silly question like, what are they supposed to look at and be proud of if we tell the history like it is? And honestly, I think they're looking at it the wrong way, because what I want them to do is to be able to see a Klansman and not see themselves in the Klansman. Some of these folks actually ate people. As a matter of fact, they hung people from trees and then they had a picnic afterward. For example, say your grandfather was abusive towards your grandmother. I don't care how many businesses is in his name. I don't care how many buildings is named after him. Fuck him. He hit Granny. And that should be the long and short of history in the United States. White people need to be able to look at history, not relate to them, and be able to say, we are better and we're going to continue to do better. As a matter of fact, we're going to revisit the systems that were set up by this standard, and we're going to correct it as we go along, because this was not right. The George Washington that was in Hamilton is not the same George Washington that owned Mount Vernon in real life. And they try so desperately to blot out names like Malcolm X and certain events that happened, but why don't they ever talk about John Brown? He was a white abolitionist along with Garrett Smith. He was an abolitionist who used one of his estates, I believe, as one of the stations for the Underground Railroad. There are plenty of white, non-racist, non-bigoted historical figures that they could talk about, but they want to spend their time sanitizing the hypocrites. Stop trying to sanitize lynch mobs and slave masters. Let's teach history correctly.
We ain't doing no sit-ins. We ain't marching, non-violent marches, let niggas beat us across the head. And I'm not trying to be pretentious about that. I respect what was done. But those days have came and went. A lot of us have a bad taste in our mouth watching our people get fucked up like that, trying to be equal to these people in efforts to be equal. Or just allowed in the same spaces. Man, fuck that. If anything, this is an initiative for us to go and build our own spaces. But it's time. Working class people really control the economy with our spending. Again, the revolution is what?
Love.
The revolution is love. Turn towards one another. We've been hated in this country from day one. Okay? We got each other. We're going to be all right. I think that we stand a better chance of ignoring the fuck out of these people. Okay? Because if we want to be honest, they just trying to get your attention, man. White people and white supremacy it dies without our attention. It dies without us pleading. They're energy vampires. They're begging for us to react to something. They're begging for us to protest something. They need to feel needed. It's a deep need for them. They're stalkers. Or else why would they pay so much attention? Like, why are they so invested? They don't go, these motherfuckers don't go an hour without thinking about us. We walk around all day chilling, kicking it. Ain't stunting them. Only time we is stunting them is calling them out on their bullshit. Pay them niggas in dust. That's the finest payment. That's an expensive payment.
When you do better, they tend to destroy.
You gotta be prepared to defend yourself.
So even though the revolution is love, always keep that with you.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, what will you do for what you love?
Right.
You love yourself enough, you ain't gonna let nobody handle you.
Absolutely. But just know with that comes great responsibility.
It comes and great point, Big Cat. I appreciate that because it can't go without being spoken on. You're gonna have to be prepared to defend yourself. It ain't gone are the days of recording. Yeah, motherfuckers disrespect you. Say it again. Yeah. What'd you call me? Those days are over. Put the phone down and defend yourself. There's always going to be those people out there that with a deep-seated hate in their heart for you. And with that deep-seated hatred and an awareness of that deep-seated hatred comes an understanding of how you need to operate when you're out and about. You need to have something on you to protect yourself.
At all times.
At all times. What are you getting out of putting your black-ass child in proximity to white people, especially at a young age? Because if we said if the goal of white supremacy is to erode the soul, what do you think's happening to your children when you subjugate them to ostracization and racism at such a young age? They're like formative years they're spent trying to assimilate with racist. Because if you think they ain't being called a nigger at school, you're out of your fucking mind. You subjected your kids to racism at such a young age when it's not necessary because you think the education is better? And is it a better education or do they just have better amenities?
Just better amenities.
And how is the education better if the whole educational system is based off of lies and propaganda? What are you expecting? A better education? No, you just think that ice is colder. That's what they think. They think the closer you are to white people, the better you are, the more equal you'll be. But how the fuck you gonna be equal to people that deemed you 3/5 of a human? How? How does that work? Explain that math to me. Niggas turned you into a fraction of a person. And you standing in front of them whole. And you remove them completely from blackness. They don't have black neighbors. None of their teachers is black. Oh, you think your child at school causing trouble? No, they're being singled out. Because these people are fucking racist. You just put them in proximity, and I've heard all these different stories about people like having to being subjected to so much racism. That's going to traumatize your child for the rest of their life. So, for the only way for them to have a good experience is to go along. So they have to remove their dignity. They have to remove their pride because you're severely outnumbered. You can't fight everybody, and the more fights you get into, the more of a problem you are. When you're already seen as a problem to begin with. Now, I understand you're making a little money. You're making a little money and you want your child to have a better education. It's just more resources. That's really what it is. When we go to the poorer schools, they lack resources. They lack funding. Kids have a rougher at home life, so they come to school to express whatever frustration they can't express at home. But better? I mean, this is America. What do you want them in you want them in a nice, clean classroom with a whole bunch of amenities so they could just learn the lies better? So they can learn the propaganda a little better? Because they ain't gonna have no goddamn opinion. And then they grow up and you put them around all these goddamn white people. You remove them from all the blackness, and then you expect them to have black excellence? That ain't how that works. No, it's not better. What you saying is white people are better. In a nutshell, it's not a better education. You just think that being around more white people makes you better, and it'll make your kid better.
Never seen a police shooting where an Asian been shot. Oh no.
That fucked up, bro. You be saying some shit, but you never seen a shooting with an Asian.
Shit, no. So let me just say this. Equal rights and equal protection. It was never about integration and us eating at countertops with white people restaurants. It was never about that. It was always about equal rights and equal protection. After that meeting with Kennedy and them, homie, then it became about integration. Because now it's about economics. Now it's about economics. This is a vibrant community. And it's been vibrant since we released them from slavery. At this time when we decide to integrate, we are a vibrant people economically. We got our own school. Almost 90% of our community is married. Wasn't no bunch of single mamas. Wasn't a bunch of people on drugs. It was a small portion of black people that was nigga fucked up. These people had a struggle that they was overcoming and was vibrant as they was doing it. So let's integrate, y'all. Now when we integrate, we over there, but we still getting mistreated. We still got to sit at the back of the bus. We don't have equal rights or equal protection. So nigga, we got lost. Nigga, he got lost in the movement.
How you think he got lost?
Nigga, he took the money.
When you take the money, you got to take the instruction.
Man, when you take the money, nigga, you like a motherfucker on welfare, homie. You are now dependent upon what they giving you. It's just like your preacher. Homie, so so when you take the money, they control you. They don't give you the money if you can't be controlled. Malcolm couldn't get the money. Malcolm died broke. Dr. King died broke because he snapped. There's a documented statement of a conversation where Dr. King said, man, I done fucked up, man. I done led my people into a burning building. We wasn't supposed to integrate. We were supposed to stay give us our equal rights and our equal protection like the Asians got today.
And let us stay over here.
Like the Asians got today. The Asians have equal rights and equal protection as white people. They got a federal law that protects them.
All Americans do not have rights if they're against the oligarch class. You only have rights if you're against each other. Wow. And that is the definition of a two-tier justice system, and it's already in place. It's been in place for years.
If it's a massive corruption scheme and you only get the justice you can afford in America.
You're just one example out of millions of Americans that go through this because it's not just one industry. You always go through these crazy lists of like, in your phone, there's like 20 to 30 arbitration agreements, and there's a crazy case about Uber that you can Google, but all your apps come with arbitration agreements. Your phone itself comes with an arbitration agreement. Your house has an arbitration agreement. If you're renting, you have an arbitration agreement. If you're employed, you have an arbitration agreement.
Your vet.
Right.
Your nursing homes.
Right.
Your pediatric emergency rooms. All pediatricians' offices at this point have added them. Dentists, orthodontists, and oh my gosh, funeral homes.
Wow. I mean, even a lot of products come with arbitration agreements. You're in this position now where as an American, you have constitutional rights normally, right? And we all expect that the courts will work properly. And so if a peasant kills a peasant, there's a court system that'll sort out the peasant squabbles. Yeah. But the moment that you get into anything goes wrong where you're up against a rich person, suddenly you are almost always already bound by an arbitration agreement. And so you suddenly do not have rights. Anytime that you're in a dispute against a corporation, a private equity group, or a billionaire, usually through one of those things, you immediately wind up realizing, like, I already do not have rights.
Islam, Shalom, Hola, Aloha, Bonjour, Assalamu Alaikum, Osio. This is your brother Zach Bay, Indigenous American Moor, coming to you live in full effect. Like, share, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell so you can be notified whenever I'm dropping new content. Leave a comment, interact with me. Thank you. I really do appreciate your viewership. Let's jump into another one. Hopefully, you all enjoyed those videos at the beginning. I'm going to play some more at the end to help drive my point home, to kind of set the mood, set the foundation of the video. If you notice, it was kind of like a theme. It's kind of like building up. So what I really want to make this video about is I was watching another show and it just inspired me because I'm like, this is odd, and I've noticed it more than once inside of new cinema. I don't want to make this video too long, but hey, we're already here. We in it. So the repaying of reparations. I'm never going to stop talking about this. I'm starting to come to the realization that repaying reparations is a dystopian future for the descendants of colonizers, fam. It's just the way it is. They don't see that as a positive future. They don't see that as something that will ever benefit them, that will ever be helpful to them. They don't even see it as cleansing their conscience or setting the karmic balance right. You know, they don't have that kind of outlook on it at all. It's just like a burden, a detriment. It's just something they want to be forgotten, to be forgiven, right? Even though other people have mottos like never forget and stuff, right? You know, for theirs, even though the American Holocaust was that much worse. But yeah, I'm really starting to realize that, and especially watching this episode of Atlanta. That's what I was watching. The creator of the show is Donald Glover. He's the one who made the song "This Is America." He also made the song "Redbone," just in case, you know, some of his music. But he has a show that was on FX. Season 2 episode is called "The Big Payback," and I noticed a theme between this episode and also the show The series Watchmen is pretty much in a future where the descendants of colonizers have to pay reparations. They have to pay restitution to the descendants of chattel slavery, right? And it's like the whole episode is about that. It's causing like a big rift. There's a guy trying to get his family back, going through a divorce. He's driving to work. He hears a court case being discussed on the radio, and that court case ends up setting a landmark precedent for reparations. Someone was able to sue the descendants of the owners. Someone was able to sue the descendants of the owners who owned them during chattel slavery, and it pretty much set a landmark. So they're discussing that at like the beginning of the episode. So he eventually gets, I guess, doxxed by someone, finds his information. A woman finds out that his great-great-great-grandfather or something like that owned her great-great-great-great-grandmother, something like that, right? And she's like, you owe me money. She shows up at his doorstep and all this. You have to see the episode because it paints a hell of a picture. I'm telling you, it paints a hell of a picture. It's very, very well done. It really gives you food for thought. So I'm realizing this is a real nightmare for these people. And something that I'm also noticing that this is like one of the most non-violent revolutions I've ever seen. It's kind of like a revolution is going on, but it's completely non-violent. People are showing up to work at these office jobs, and you know how they kind of make the trope that in these office jobs there's only a few melanated people, there's only a few so-called black people there, you know, Moors. The office is like starting to empty out. People are starting to go into hiding. People are losing their jobs. Some people are in court. A lot of people start to do like ancestry checks and stuff like that to figure out what their bloodline is, who their ancestors and relatives are, to see if they ever owned slaves in their past and stuff like that. Like, people are inside these office buildings like shaking in their boots. They're having conversations like, and then they're in a group huddled around and they're looking over at the only few so-called black people there, and they're like, yeah, only a few of them came into work today, because people are working on their lawsuits and doing the research for their genealogy and history. Like, the picture that is painting is brilliant. I'm telling you, it's the artistry in it is just amazing. Honestly, you have to see the episode. Atlanta, big payback. Check it out. You might be able to even find clips on YouTube or something like that if you don't want to watch the whole thing. Great work. I'm realizing this is a dystopian future for these people, having to pay reparations in court. It's not like we're going to war, there's a battle, there's any bloodshed. There's no bloodshed. There's no fighting. There's only litigation. There's legal litigation going on. These people are shaking in their boots. They're worrying about, oh, I never owned slaves. That happened so long ago. I'm worrying about losing my pension. I'm worrying about losing my retirement. I'm worrying about somebody coming after my home. I'm worrying about this ruining my reputation. There's a guy who has to wear a shirt that just says, I own slaves. They're like, the family doesn't want any kind of monetary payment. They just want him to acknowledge it. So he has to wear a shirt 3 times a week or something like that out. And it has to be documented. And it's like, I own slaves. Like, it's... The picture that it paints is amazing. It's like, I'm like, wow, this is really how it will be. Along with that, the reason I know these people don't want to pay us reparations, fam, even though they have the ability to, because all these migrants and immigrants came over here and somehow all this money came out of nowhere, and somehow it's all gone now. They don't have it for us, right? The survivors of the Greenwood District, Tulsa, Oklahoma, the Negro Wall Street there. The survivors, there's like 3 survivors that are over 100 years old, and they still don't want to pay these elders the reparations that they rightfully deserve. Property destruction, loss of life, residuals, compound interest. Come on, that compound interest on something that happened in the early 1900s, fam, over 100 years ago. They want all the descendants, they want all these elders to pass away so they can act like this stuff never happened. But there's still people who survive these massacres out here. And the court systems, the Supreme Court is still refusing to give justice, refusing to give righteous reparations to these ancestors, to these elders. It's crazy. It's so selfish. It's so greedy. And once you start to notice, you see how I paint the picture at the beginning. The people who are running the monetary systems, the people who are running the court systems, the people who are running the banking systems, they're all the same people, fam. We already know. Have you ever seen any of them poor? Have you ever seen anybody with one of those little, one of those little caps on the top of their head, on the back of their head? You ever seen one of them people poor? Have you ever seen one of them struggling? I haven't. I have not. I have not. I'm telling you that. And I'm not spewing hate. I'm just pointing out the historical truth. I'm pointing out the evidence. It's so evidence. You can see it. You can hear it. All 5 of our senses are screaming this stuff, and some people are just willfully living in ignorance, burying their head in the sand like an ostrich. It's wild, fam. I'm really passionate about this because it just blows my mind how selfish, how greedy these people are. It's wild, man. It's wild. The courts have damn near made it impossible for us, even recently. This is recently, right? The courts have made it damn near impossible for us to sue on the grounds of racial discrimination when it comes to us against these corporations. There's a clip that I showed, and they pretty much broke it down fairly well on how there's a 2-tier justice system, wealthy or poor. I showed that in one of my previous videos. You could only afford the justice. You can only receive the justice that you can afford in this country. If you can't afford the justice, if you don't have the finance, you get no justice, fam. And that's really the way it is. I have personally been a victim of that in this justice system. In a court case, I did not have the finance to continue to fight my case, so I had to plea out, which is like the most fam, I'm still reeling from that right now, honestly. I'm telling you, I don't even want to go into that, but you can only receive the justice that you can afford in this system. There's really a 2-tier justice system. I spoke about it. Check out my previous video when I'm talking about rich or poor, choosing your time wisely. There's a few examples of this justice system, all right? Now, it's not completely flawed. It's not completely one-sided. There's a few wins that we can see. There's a few, but there's losses. So I feel like it's kind of like the old trope, give a dog a bone when it's barking. They let a few wins squeak by in order to keep most of us silent, to keep most of us unable to fight or unwilling to fight. So there was a health club lawsuit. A woman who worked in a health club, she was like a personal trainer, and she had documented the discrimination that was going on against her for months once they tried to fire her, and different treatment that was going on her compared to the European American co-workers. All right, she won that lawsuit. She won that case, and I believe she received like 20 mil. There was another lawsuit recently in the medical industry. There was a RN or a CNA or something like that, right? She had a patient. She was receiving a heavier workload than her European American colleagues. It seemed like she was under a microscope. There was always critiquing her. They were always questioning her. And the last straw was she was also documenting this, right? Through the months that it was happening, this discrimination. They tried to blame the expiration of a patient on her. That was not her fault, that she was not liable for, right? And she ended up going to court through all of the litigation, and she ended up winning. I believe she won about 40 million for this discrimination. There was another lawsuit in Texas. A young man was, I believe, kicked out of school for dress code violations, allegedly. His hair, he has locks in his hair. And it says, the school said he violated the school dress code or something like that. They expelled him. They went to court, the litigation. I believe they tried to use the Crown Act or the Crown Law legislation that was recently passed for people of Moorish descent, people of American Indian descent, so-called black people here in America. There have been plenty of laws or company policies forbidding us to wear our natural hair. So the Crown Act or the Crown Law was in place, has recently been put into place to help protect us from legalized discrimination, right? They tried to use that in this case in Texas. The young man did not win this case. He did not win against the school district for being expelled. But those are just a few examples of how this legal system like makes it incredibly difficult for us to prove legalized discrimination. The confounds of that definition, in order to fit inside that, it's so difficult to prove, and it normally takes months of evidence gathering. So if you feel like you're being legally discriminated in your workplace, make sure that you do your due diligence by collecting evidence, recordings, emails, any kind of evidence that a lawyer can use to help fight your case and win your case for you, fam. So it's not completely hopeless taking these people, these corporations, to court, right? Along with that, see, I don't want to make this too long, so I'm gonna cut it. So I noticed these people are fighting tooth and nail not to ever want to pay us reparations. They the study on reparations, whenever they say that they're going to do a study to study the effects of reparations, if you look at this episode of Atlanta, Big Payback, it pretty much illustrates and demonstrates it's a dramatization of what I believe is the result of those studies. How people would be reacting, how those people would be reacting, the descendants of colonizers, the descendants of chattel slave owners, how their descendants will react in this day and age if they had to potentially pay reparations to the descendants of chattel slavery. 4 acres and a mule, right? 40 acres and a mule, excuse me. So much is owed to us. So much is owed to the descendants of chattel slavery in this country. It's just crazy how they want us to just forgive and forget about that, when this nation is currently paying reparations to other people. They're paying it to Israel, fam. They're paying it to Israel. Multiple nations are paying reparations to Israel, including Germany. Haiti is paying reparations to France for 1804, for fighting for their independence. It's wild. During the Great Depression, all right, during the Great Depression in American history, people were jumping out of buildings. People were driving off of the roads and cliffs. People were ending it all because they felt like they didn't have a future because the stock market crashed. I feel like this example of, if reparations were ever passed on a wide scale, that something like that would be how those people would deal with it, because we know that it seems like, it's very difficult for these people to go through, for certain people to go through these hardships and actually come out on the other side stronger or tougher. It's like they just break and they crumble and they just can't take the pressure, fam. So I feel like, I believe that this dramatization is the result of the studies on if reparations were to be paid to descendants of chattel slavery, fam. Honestly, like, this country would do nothing but prosper. We want to have our own. There's a lot of people who don't even like us around, and if we had our own, we wouldn't have to be around them if we didn't want to, fam. Like, hopefully you get exactly what I'm saying. There's some more clips coming after this. Like, share, subscribe to my channel. Let me know how I'm doing down below. Once again, this is your brother, Zach Bay. Peace.
Guy who plays by the rules never win. Cheaters win. The guy who works hard never makes it to the top. He stayed at the bottom working hard till he died. They told us it ain't what you know, it's who you know. The people didn't get to the top because they worked there. They knew somebody that helped them get to the top, that opened the door for them. Hard work pays off, but it don't make you win. It just pays off.
The Jews clearly control the media and the banks, investment banks, not the commercial ones, but the point is, they carry out in those realms the exact same principles that they display in sexuality. They undermine traditional life, and they deracinate society. Deracinate. Tear out the roots. A real people derives its genius from the land, from the sun, from the sea, from the soil. You know, this is how they know themselves. But like Jews don't even have soil. Yes, Israel. Yeah, those aren't Jews. Of course they're Jews. Notice the Israelis. It's a fundamentally secular society. They no longer need Judaism because they have soil. Because the real Jew is a wanderer. He's a nomad. He's got no roots and no attachments, so he universalizes everything. You can't hammer a nail or plow a field. All he can do is buy and sell and invest capital and manipulate markets, and, you know, it's like all mental. He takes a life of a people that's rooted in soil, and then he turns it into this cosmopolitan culture based on books and numbers and ideas, and, you know, this is his strength. You can take the greatest Jewish minds ever. Marx, Freud, Einstein, what have they given us? Communism? Infantile sexuality, and the atom bomb. In the mere 3 centuries, it's taken these people to emerge from the ghettos of Europe. They've ripped us out of a world of order and reason. They've thrown us into a chaos of class warfare, irrational urges, relativity, into a world where now the very existence of matter and meaning is in question. Why? Because it's the deepest impulse of a Jewish soul to pull at the very fabric of life till there's nothing left but a thread. They want nothing but nothingness. Nothingness without end.
The famous really have a big problem. I'm one of the only people who managed to get globally famous and renowned without having a gatekeeper. If you're on a basketball team, if you say anything you're not supposed to say, you're off the team. If you're an actress and you say something you're not supposed to say, the producers won't hire you anymore. Record labels, YouTube, there's always someone who will shut you down if you start speaking in a way you're not supposed to speak. And the way they avoid this from happening is the same thing they tried to do to me. I got offered $55 million to sign a contract, and that contract was a sponsorship contract. But to avoid brand damage, I had to shut up about certain issues and change my opinions on certain things, and I declined the money. And soon after that, I was arrested. So what they try and do is give you a gatekeeper if you get famous without one, but primarily people only get famous because of their gatekeeper. All of these famous people aren't even famous. They cannot allow you to be influential if they don't control you. That's what Epstein's Island was about. That's what my criminal cases are about. That's what all of this is about, because the entire world is a battle for influence. And if you're influential, they need to get you under somebody. Kanye, he had somebody. I'll let you look this up. I won't say the guy's name. Funny, he was the same personal trainer to Britney, I believe. Funny how they all go crazy. These people, isn't this weird?
Let me ask everyone in this room a question. Have you read the law? Not every single thing, no. Because my lawyer needs to look up the law. And he's a king's counsel. Yeah. And he has to look up the law. Yeah. So the lawyers don't know the law. Yeah, you haven't read the law, you haven't read the law, you haven't read it, I haven't fucking read it. So how are we going to obey laws we haven't even fucking read? You don't even know what it says. Let's imagine you had read the law. Every single day, what do? Do they add laws or take them away? They don't ever take a law away. They've got the same laws from the 1600s. Every single person is a criminal. It just depends if they want to get you or not. He's annoyed us. Here's our book of laws he's never read. Here you go, Mr. Prosecutor. Mr. Prosecutor, here's a nice big Bible of laws. He's never read any of them. It's your job to fuck him. He'll flick through, and then what he'll do, when he chooses his laws to fuck you with, and he goes back, calls the BBC, and calls the newspapers and says, make something up. We're about to fuck Samuel with speeding. Then the papers start showing you in your Range Rover. Samuel Leeds, millionaire, eccentric millionaire, drives recklessly. It'll be all the papers. What the fuck's going on? Before you know it, they bust in your door. You speed, and they fucking shoot you down.
Executive branch has been overthrown by hostile members of a foreign interest, which is Israel, which means technically it's not the United United States government. It's a government that's being run and has been overthrown, and the republic has been sacked. So Jews who run this society are taking your military, giving it for a greater Israel in Ukraine, preparing you for slaughter with your own white brothers.
We're not getting no reparations. This rally right here is putting people to sleep. They love putting people out there to talk about stuff like this because it keeps the heat off of them.
The Jews are telling you, y'all two gonna fight each other and kill each other. We are not the problem. Truth of it is, the Jews are the problem. That's what I think about the reparations. The enterprise called slavery is an enterprise. The Grandies, the Marranos, the Jews, they hold a substantial amount of the issues and responsibility for the reparations that we got to go and get. When we're talking about the Jews as a problem for black people, it's not just slavery. What about Reconstruction? Who engineered the end of Reconstruction? William Levy, who was what? A Jew from South Carolina.
Everybody's starting to wake up, and they're going to start identifying who's the real culprit. The real culprit that had Europeans, indigenous people divided, hating each other. The real perpetrator is the so-called Jew.
But in Israel, they have subsidized housing, student loan debt. Now in Israel, they have subsidized education. The number one cause of bankruptcy in America is medical debt. They have free healthcare in Israel. And all of those things are being subsidized by your taxpayer. You are paying for all those things for another country to have that you don't have. Rent's too damn high, housing's not affordable, but no one should be paying more than 30% of their income in housing, including utilities. That's on the HUD's website. It's a guideline, but it's not a legal requirement. It's not enforced. That's something that needs to be addressed. Social housing.
They saw an entire generation turn on Israel and decided to implement fucking 1984 level Orwellian censorship across the entire West under the guise of kids' safety. We're not stupid. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, the UK, Australia, you have to put an ID just to listen to Spotify. You have to put an ID for porn, and they're about to implement ID for YouTube here in America. Like, holy shit.
If you want to be successful, you want to be like Trump, gimme, 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 push, 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 step, 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 crush, crush, crush. I mean, nobody should be hitting lotto for 36 million and we got people starving in the streets. There's no way that these people should own planes and their people don't have houses, apartments, shacks, drawers, pants. But even if you earned it, you still owe. I mean, can you imagine somebody having $32 million? $32 million. And this person has nothing, and you can sleep, you can still go to the movie. These are the type of people that get humanitarian awards. Millionaires. How can they be humanitarians? By the fact that they millionaires and there's so many poor people shows how unhumane they are. I think there is a way. It just takes to be revolutionary. I know you got $40 billion, but can you just keep it to one house? You only need one house. And if you only got 2 kids, can you just keep it to 2 rooms? I mean, why have 52 rooms and you know there's somebody with no room? It just don't make sense to me.
These are students gathered for an assembly at Scott High School in Toledo, Ohio. Now, in their mind, they're thinking this is just an ordinary assembly, but then something drastic happens that changed their lives forever. This is Pete Cadence. He was the guest speaker during this assembly, and he says something during his speech that was absolutely jaw-dropping. Pete is a successful entrepreneur from Toledo, Ohio, and during his speech, he talks about the importance of higher education. He also talks about the importance of people having the resources to be able to pursue higher education if they so desire. Scott High School is in a very underprivileged area of Toledo, and a lot of the students there don't have the resources to pursue a higher education. Now, here's where things get interesting. Towards the end of his speech, Pete looked at the crowd and said, "Every single senior here in front of me will be able to attend a 4-year university and have their tuition and room and board completely covered by me." And the building erupted with emotion. Every single senior is going to be able to go to college for free and have everything taken care of thanks to Pete. Now, if you think that's dope, it gets even better. Now, like I said, this high school is in a very underprivileged area, so the lack of resources in this area are essentially generational. So what Pete says next is, not only can you go to school for free, but one of your parents can also go and get a 4-year degree as well. So he's sending all the seniors and one of their parents to school for absolutely free. Now, I don't know. I can't think of anything doper than that. That is incredible. Pete ended his speech saying, "This is how you change the world." And I 100% agree. He made something of himself and now he's giving back in the best way possible. Pete, my brother, man, I want to offer you your flowers. This is so dope to me. Shout out to you. Shout out to everyone in attendance. And shout out to their futures. Wow, I love everything about this, man.